Hello and welcome to Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right of centre viewpoint. I'm Steve and I've got three people with me tonight. First I've got Sam.
Hey.
I've got Susan.
Hello.
And I've got our elder statesman, Jonathan.
Hello.
It sounds so posh. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, we've got a few things on the agenda tonight, guys. I think first we're going to talk about Extinction Rebellion. The Extinction Rebellion protests have been going on all over the world, I believe, but certainly very heavily in London. And protests this week have apparently stretched police resources in London. The Metropolitan Police Chief has come out and said that, and Dame Cressida Dick has also said that she hopes the demonstrators would protest lawfully or go home after their failure to take or occupy certain streets. A week of climate protests, including at Trafalgar Square and the BBC's new broadcasting house, have seen more than 1,100 people arrested. The movement said many protesters will risk their liberty for their cause. What do you make of Extinction Rebellion, Susan?
Well, for argument's sake, how many times has protests been lawful and quiet and actually made an impact? So let's, for argument's sake, not that I agree with what they're doing, but if they want to make an impact, they're going to have to do things that disrupt.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think, Sam?
I think that they do very bad dancing to some very bad house music.
I must admit, we've all seen the funny videos, well I think we've all seen them, and a whole bunch of them have come out with people doing dancing all together, and then there was one I saw today of this very strange sort of guy doing dancing right in front of this line of policemen, and they could not have looked more bored.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they kept a straight face, honestly, because some of it, I was laughing just watching it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just something he was making up on the spur of the minute, or if it was Tai Chi or something. I've no idea.
Did you see that one of the guy crying, had the picture of his kids, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just worried about my kids' future," and started blubbing.
No.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, he was laying on the floor crying. I think that he's more of a risk to his kids than climate change, to be honest with you.
Arch.
Well, I know, but I'm sorry, but you know, if my dad isn't going to be made a national, news and Twitter and everywhere crying, laying on the ground, that just doesn't look. It just, I don't know. I'd be very embarrassed personally.
One of the Extinction Rebellion dads is going to have Extinction Rebellion type kids. That's how he'll have brought them up. So they'll probably be like, "Great, my dad's doing a great thing." But I think I get what you're saying. What do you think about it all, Jonathan?
Well, this is all coming from a generation that sort of has a shower every day using the Earth's resources, has lifts from cars to go to school or whatever. It's the idea. If you actually turn around to the mass of school children and said you must walk to school, there'd be more of a rebellion than there is Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, a lot's been made about hypocrisy, hasn't it? A lot's been made about the fact that they went into McDonald's and they're using Costa and they're all. I think there was a picture emerged of one of the groups, not necessarily the London group, hiding a diesel generator behind a load of sort of packaging so that people couldn't see they were doing it. I don't know. Some people said that was at somewhere else. I don't know. But that hypocrisy argument. I mean, is this just a bunch of upper middle class kids kind of trying to show how woke they are? What do you think, Sam?
I don't know really. I don't know if it maybe is about class or not. I mean, how do you ascertain whether someone's poor or not just by a picture?
Well, they've done quite a few interviews. I don't know if you've been watching some of what's happening here is also what's happening in America as well. And the guys were going around doing interviews on everyone they could find and asking basically, what is your job? How are you here? And out of, say, 30, and I know it's only a small snippet, so you can't just say everyone, but out of half an hour, they spoke to 30 people, and those 30 people are unemployed. So it actually kind of lends a little bit of weight of the people that are going to these things.
Well, then there's this rumour that because they're well funded and names like Soros come up all the time, don't they? And there's this rumour that quite a few of them are getting paid £400
no, it's not a rumour,
a week.
It's the thing. It's not, they've actually, people showed the Extinction Rebellion advert saying it.
So they're actually getting paid £400 a week
Yeah.
to be like a paid protester.
Jeez.
I mean, that
And
takes an
also,
edge off of it.
If you
doesn't
look
it?
at what Extinction Rebellion put out, didn't they? They put out a tweet saying that it's actually about bringing down capitalism, and that's actually the true meaning.
I mean, they're not
behind it.
even shy about saying it, are they? And I mean, bringing down capitalism, Jonathan, that's going to save the world, apparently. What do you think it'd do if we brought down capitalism?
I doubt if it'd do that. What would happen if you brought down capitalism? And this is what it's all about. It's a middle-class, trendy organisation trying to take away most of what the benefits the working class have had in the last few years. You know, take away the car and you know, the jacuzzi, the gut, or whatever, you know, takes your fancy, or your Sky TV, and we'll all go back to caves and eating vegetables.
I mean, there is something strange, isn't there, about them all sitting around tapping on their mobile phones and talking about how we've got to roll back capitalism. It's, you know, I don't think they realise that the clothes they wear, I'm not sure they fully appreciate the consequences of really rolling back capitalism, which is, in my opinion, the greatest force for progress the world's ever known. But, you know, they clearly, and I'm not sure they really mean it. I'm just not sure that every one of them really, faced with capitalism being taken back, would like the world that led to.
But it's the famous thing, isn't it? We want change. When do we want it? When everyone else is going to do it. So everybody else wants somebody else to make that change, but they don't actually want to make that change at all. We see it all the time, don't we?
I mean, I think there was an interview, wasn't there, about what the consequences will be of some of the things they want to go carbon neutral by 2025 or something. Whatever they want, it's going to mean most families taking one plane flight every 5 years. It's going to mean all the gas, central heating all over the country would have to be turned off. Everyone's cars, diesel and petrol cars, going to be confiscated by 2025.
Yeah.
I mean,
can't see that happening.
Well, not without
I'd like
a
to-
real revolution anyway.
Yeah.
Triggering a real revolution.
And actually what that would do is that would just leave the elite to do what they want to do, because they'd have the money and the resources to be able to do it, and it would leave the actual working class and the middle class not being able to do anything.
Which is what I was saying.
Yeah.
This is an exercise in taking off the lower classes the things that they've gained over the last 30 years.
I think people like to talk about, blame everything on the rich and we haven't got enough, but people are quite comfortable with having their big screen TVs and their PlayStations and their holidays and their ability to order fast food when they want to. And I think faced with all of that actually being gone and everything being state run by some kind of council organisation or government organisation, what would people really make of that, do you think?
Well, I worked for those things. I worked to have my big TV and my holidays and my car, and you know, and I'm going to order a takeaway tonight. Actually, when I go in, I work very hard for those things.
What sort of takeaway?
Burger
Oh, fair enough.
with the chips with the paprika on. Love that. But you wouldn't get me to work as hard if I didn't have the things that I wanted to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You can't ask people to work very, very hard for no rewards.
Just in case anyone wants to know, I'm going to have chicken and mushroom pie and chips, I think, for my tea.
Well, I don't think we need to do the food
You're going to
porn.
order that?
No, I was going to ask if you'd drop me outside the fish and chip shop. I haven't got to that bit yet.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
My gas guzzling car.
Moving on, still on Extinction Rebellion. So the Extinction Rebellion boss has shared a Facebook post calling Labour's anti-Semitism row a smear. The boss of Extinction Rebellion Climate Change Group has sparked controversy after sharing social media posts dismissing Labour Party's anti-Semitism row as nothing more than a smear campaign against the left-wing leader Jeremy Corbyn. Well, we've heard that from Labour Party supporters, but now to hear it from Extinction Rebellion kind of ties things together a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, they hate capitalism, they love the hard left. Jeremy Corbyn's hard left. Why would they not be best buddies?
Yeah, but I mean, I think that the whole climate emergency argument is not just a thing that sits on the left, is it? There's people on the right and the left who support that. But this seems to tie Extinction Rebellion closely to the left. Do you think, Jonathan?
They are part of the left. They don't need tying to it. I mean, it's if you are genuinely concerned about, you know, use of resources, I mean, there are other routes to go down, and I mean, most of the problems we have in this country are due to overpopulation. You know, not enough schools, not enough doctor surgeries, not enough people in the NHS. It's all due to we've got too many people. Now,
That's not
how you thin out those numbers, whether you go down the Chinese route and say, you know, you can only have one child. You know,
Let's not go down that route.
well, no, but most people would prefer the option of just having one child as opposed to losing their car.
I don't know if that's true.
It's like, what survey is that based on?
Yeah, that's based on the Jonathan plucks it from the air
I don't
survey.
think we are overpopulated. We've got a massive amount of space in this country.
Yeah, the whole overpopulation.
Services are overstretched.
The whole overpopulation argument, everywhere it's made, is a load of gibberish. It's uneconomic gibberish, but people do keep making it because, and it worries me a little bit, because when they talk about it and they talk about cutting the world's population, you're getting into some pretty dark areas there, you know, kind of culling and eugenics and age limits and childbirth limits. This is not stuff that Western democracies should even be thinking about.
I always like I don't know if you've ever seen the film, but the film where people with less thoughtful thoughts and cleverness stop having children because the planet's going downhill, and bad people, say idiots, then keep breeding, and then the whole planet gets taken over by idiots. Has anyone ever seen that film?
I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen it, but I remember. Is it called Idiocracy or something like that? I don't think I've seen that. No, but I've seen it advertised.
It's absolutely amazing.
Is it on Netflix?
I don't know. I
It's
watched it years ago.
What a very capitalist question. Is it on Netflix?
It's not until recently I first started wondering if that actually might happen, and we need to be a bit more careful about what we're saying.
Well, I don't know. I think people do still quite like having families and making children. I don't think that's gone out of fashion.
No, it
completely.
hasn't, but I do think they've got smaller.
Yeah, but that's
I will
because
only
people
have
can't
two.
afford to have kids now. It's so expensive.
Yeah, but I will.
But
I will
again,
only
they
have
still
two.
do it.
Yeah, but they don't. I mean, I'm thinking about all my friends that I know that I went to school with. A lot of them haven't had kids because you can't really have kids and have a successful career as a woman. That's hard. And you have to have a break and then go on. And people want to have jobs now, and it's a massive decision to have a kid. They're so expensive. They just eat your money all the time. Everyone I know who's got a kid is always buying the kid stuff. And
If you're feeding kids
Massive-
money, they're not getting the nutrition they
it's a
need.
massive resource strain. I don't mean that in a negative way because I'm sure their kids are really lovely and they love them very much, but they do cost them a lot of money.
This is Sam when it was summer holidays and everyone was doing things with their kids. Was very negative on the fact that we were choosing our children over her.
Anyway, so I think it's time to move on. Okay, so I know we always talk about Boris Johnson and Brexit, but it is the big thing in the news, so there's a bit more today. So let me just read you the release. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his Irish counterpart, Leo, how do you say that? Varadkar, have said that they can see a pathway to a possible Brexit deal. After more than 2 hours of talks at a country house on the Wirral, the two leaders said a deal was in everybody's interests. Mr Varadkar said he thought it was still possible that a deal could be done by the end of October, but he declined to say what had changed. Now, a lot of that's going on. There's these secret talks happening in the EU, and all the news articles are suggesting what they might be, but nobody knows because there's been no leaks. And we know that Steve Barclay MP, he's the Brexit Secretary, and actually our local MP, he met Michael Barnier today for further talks. I mean, what do you think? Are we going to actually get a deal, or is this all just fluff and nothing, Jonathan?
We could get a deal. And you can get a deal anywhere, at any time, can't you? And now it's as good as any time.
But it was only a couple of days ago they were saying there's no way you're going to get a deal. I mean, everyone's always said it's all going to change at the last minute, haven't they? What do you think, Sam?
I don't know because I was looking at a funny meme of it's a little boy crying saying, "I want to lose weight so bad, but I'd be so hungry," and he's crying, and it's just really funny.
Doesn't sound very funny. Sounds pretty sad, really. What's the
quite
matter with you?
No,
He's saying it's everyone suffers from that problem. Everyone wants to lose weight and be thinner, but no one wants to stop eating all the tasty food.
Anyway, about Brexit.
Anyway, so what are we talking about? Brexit.
So we're saying, do you think a deal's coming? Do you think, I mean, there seems to be movements, there's these secret talks going on, and there seems to be some softening of the approach, and some people are saying it's Boris who's softening, and some people are saying the EU are softening, and it just really depends on who you believe. But what do you think?
I think that there could be a deal coming because in the past Theresa May sought an extension much sooner, and really 31st is creeping pretty soon, isn't it? So maybe they are now starting to panic a little bit.
19 days,
Yeah.
20 days.
And he hasn't wavered, has he? He's not wavered at all in any of his speeches, in any of his emails, in any of his communication with people. It is, we are leaving.
No, but today, I mean, all the newspapers are saying he's wavering today. Well, most of them. And the left-wing ones are saying it triumphantly, and the kind of Daily Express and the sort of right-wing ones are saying it furiously. But there's no actual evidence of any of this, is there? We don't know what's going on.
It's all spoken mirrors, so it's
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Because we talked about Steve Barclay earlier in the week in the podcast that we lost halfway through. I mean, I actually think that as a Brexit Secretary, he's sort of come into his own now. What do you guys think?
I think he's done really well. I saw one of his interviews the other day and they were trying to pick apart and make him say things that he shouldn't do, and he held his own quite well.
Yeah.
He's doing all right.
What do you think, Sam?
I keep trying to get him to come on the podcast, but as you can imagine, he's pretty busy at the moment.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? A bit of a coup if we can get the Brexit secretary
but
on
I
our
mean,
podcast.
he's been in Amsterdam and Malta's been everywhere this week, so he's a bit obviously trying to get Brexit sorted.
I suppose he's just going to be constantly flying around, which is going to make those Extinction Rebellion people really furious. Not only is he flying, but he's flying for Brexit. I mean, must make him public enemy number one for Extinction Rebellion. What do you think, Jonathan?
I think you're setting him up there.
He's going to find a load of Extinction Rebellion. Those guys with the red. What are the red guys called? There's a bunch of them. They dress all in red with red faces and red clothes. And they're called something obvious like the Red Guard or something. What are they called? They look like they're from Star Wars.
No.
They're idiots.
They look like they're having such a lot of fun though.
Define fun.
Well,
I mean,
getting paid £400 a week to dance around in the street, denounce capitalism and still eat McDonald's. That's fun.
A lot of it is the sort of attraction that CND had in the sort of 60s, where, if you're a lad, you've got an opportunity to sort of mingle with lots of gormless, morally relaxed girls.
Oh,
and have a
Jonathan.
good time. I mean,
You can't say that.
that was the driving force behind CND.
Well,
basically.
I must
Yeah,
admit, when I was a kid, I remember all the
Morally,
hippies kind of protesting against nuclear weapons in the country. That was all the big thing when I was a kid, and they all looked. Actually, it's quite similar to what these guys look like. They're waving the same sort of flag, same sort of face paint, same sort of hairstyles. I think it's the kids of those people,
Well, to be fair, they're not bogged down like us, are they? So I have to work over 30 hours a week and do other bits and bobs, and everyone else I know works. So to be fair, they've probably got more free time than us, and a lot maybe less life experience that gives them a wider view.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I saw on Facebook today somebody was sharing. There's going to be a march for Brexit in London, and this person was sharing this march and saying, "Who's going?" And nobody was saying yes. And some of the lefties were like, that's because you guys clearly don't care. But that wasn't the reason. The reason nobody was going is because they all have to go to work.
Yeah.
They can't take a day off work to go and protest in London.
No. And you find that a lot. That's why they're doing the interviews now with people that go to these protests. It's like, well, where are you from? What do you do? What have you taken off? And yeah, nearly all of them in America were very much saying, I'm a full-time artist. Yeah, student or full-time artist.
Because universities really indoctrinate people now, I think. When I went to university, it was all kind of like left wing and Tories are evil, and I remember being told I think it's pretty fairly accepted that the 1970s Labour messed up the country, but not if you go to the university I went to. Apparently it was a global recession.
Oh, the old global recession argument, yeah.
Which didn't happen anywhere else.
They'd probably find one other country.
That's a global recession, which is why they were piling up bodies in freezers. Because they couldn't bury them. Well, that was trade union action. That's nothing to do with global recession.
Yeah, I mean, the 70s was a bit messed
weren't
up for a lot of
tempted,
reasons.
Trade union action.
The only computer game you could play was Pong, or whatever that thing was.
Oh,
You just
that's
batted the ball back and
amazing.
forth.
Got to
Susan.
do that one.
Pong is not a great game.
Really?
No.
What we
Space
need
Invaders
to do on a
is
podcast one day is we'll set out Pong on the screen here, and we'll let you and Sam have a go and see which one of you's the
And you
better.
could play,
I'm sure the viewers will flock to that.
you
I'm
could
with.
play Space Invaders as well, though, not just Pong.
Space Invaders is 80s though.
You sure?
Was it? Well, maybe very
1978,
very late
I just Googled it.
70s. I accept it. Fair enough.
Oh, it starts getting wrong, doesn't it?
Okay, right. So moving on to the fourth item on our agenda and the last item on our agenda. So it's our friend Greta Thunberg. I've got some bad news for you guys, because I know you're all big fans. She didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. It's absolutely stolen from her by somebody who actually did something for peace. So, I mean, what do you make of that, Jonathan?
Well, it's a bit like an American president getting, some a Nobel Prize, isn't it?
About 3 days after being elected.
Yes, for his great works.
They actually did steal her dreams, though, because it probably was her dreams to win the Nobel Prize.
Well, that's
so I do feel a bit
possibly so,
sorry
yeah.
for her.
Yeah, but when she said that, she hadn't had the Nobel Prize stolen from her at that. Unless she could see the future, which, if she can, then we should probably be more frightened about the things she's saying.
Yeah, but winning at this point would have been detrimental to her cause, a lot of people are saying.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What? A lot. When you say a lot of people, are you reading some article or something?
Yeah, I'm reading Eartha.
Okay.
And,
Well, if Eartha says it, it must be true.
yeah, they say that But she's obviously changed climate conversion globally. She's after action based on sound science. World governments have yet to deliver in that regard, which means she and other activists have lots of work to do. And if she'd have won the prize, it might have slowed her down by diluting her message that the toughest efforts lay ahead.
Now that sounds to me like a way to polish something that you probably wouldn't normally want to polish. I mean, that sounds to me like a way of presenting something that she lost as if it's a good thing, because I do not believe that they would have been, if she'd won it, they wouldn't have been like, oh no, that's really damaged our cause, would they? They'd be like, now she's got a Peace Prize, she's going to command even more attention.
Well, she didn't put herself in for it, though, did she?
No.
Did she?
There's
You
3
can't put
Norwegian
yourself in
lawmakers.
for it.
I don't think people do put
If so,
themselves
I'd
into
put
it.
myself forward.
Yeah. What have you done to earn the Nobel Peace Prize, Susan?
Helped people, actually physically got off my backside and helped people rather than talk about it.
What have you done to earn the Nobel Peace Prize, Sam?
Nothing.
Nothing?
It's a massive honour to get the Nobel Peace Prize. What have I done?
You're not getting this joke, are you, at all? I'm having a hard time. Jonathan, what have you done to earn the Nobel Peace Prize?
Not a fat lot, but then again, it was never my aspiration. But I mean, there's all sorts of people who really have got difficult jobs. The president of Eritrea at the moment, or who slightly bigger issues than trying to get kids to bonk off school. I mean,
I think you mean bunk off school.
do I?
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway.
It's my Midlands kind of accent. We always used to say bonk off rather than bunk off.
Well, maybe you did in the Midlands. Well, if you, in case you're interested, I think that what I've done to earn the Nobel Peace Prize is, in my local community, I work hard to foster pleasant and reasonable discussion between all groups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, guys, well, I think that's pretty much it for tonight. I hope anyone who's listening has enjoyed this podcast. We have been Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right-of-centre viewpoint. Say good night, Sam.
Good night.
Susan.
No.
And Jonathan.
Cheerio.
See you all later.